The sun was setting behind the hills. The orange light touched everything, but nothing felt warm to Aaron. He sat on the same bench where they used to meet. The bench was old, with cracks in the wood, but it still held memories. This was where he and Lena would laugh, talk, and dream about the future. But now she was gone. Lena had moved away 2 months ago. Her family had to leave for another city because of work. It all happened so fast. One day they were together, walking home, and the next day she was saying goodbye. She had hugged him tightly, said she would write, and then she was gone. Aaron had tried to stay strong. He told himself he would get used to it, but every day felt empty. He walked past the places they loved. The old bookshop, the small bridge over the river, the bakery that sold sweet rolls she liked. He still went there, but it was never the same. He missed her voice. He missed the way she smiled at him when he said something silly. He missed the way they used to plan for things they never did. He missed just sitting quietly beside her and feeling like everything was fine at night. Aaron would lie in bed and wonder if she missed him too. Did she still think about him? Did she walk past new places and think of how they would have explored them together? He didn't know. And that was the hardest part. He had written her a few messages in the beginning. She replied once or twice. Then she got busy. School, family, a new life. Her words became fewer, shorter. Then they stopped. He looked at his phone often. Every beep, every message, he hoped it was her. But it never was. People told him to move on. They said it was normal, that things change, that people grow apart. But Aaron didn't want to grow apart. He didn't want to forget her. He didn't want to let go. Still, he didn't know what to. Dewey didn't want to bother her. He didn't want to seem weak or sad. He just wanted to tell her that he still cared, that he still waited. But the words never felt right. Every time he tried to write something, he deleted it. One day, he found himself back at the bench. The wind was soft. The trees moved gently. He closed his eyes and remembered her laugh. It was so clear in his mind. Like she was sitting right there, and in that quiet moment, Aaron realized something. Humans don't give up easily, even when they feel lost, even when things change, even when the world feels too big. They keep hoping. They keep trying. Because feelings don't vanish. They stay, waiting for the right time to shine again. He opened his eyes and smiled a little. Maybe he didn't have to say much. Maybe just a small message would be enough. Something true. Something simple. He took out his phone and typed, "Hi, Lena. I hope you're doing okay. I miss you. I still think about you a lot. Just wanted you to know." He stared at the screen. His finger hovered over the send button. He felt nervous. What if she didn't reply? What if she had moved on? But then he thought, what if she hadn't? What if she was waiting too? He took a deep breath and pressed send. The message flew away, carried by invisible waves through the sky. He didn't know what would happen next. But for the first time in weeks, he felt lighter. Aaron stood up from the bench. The wind touched his face. The sky was dark now, but he saw a star appear above him. Maybe this was the beginning. Maybe hope was enough to start again. He walked home. Slowly, not because he was sad, but because he wanted to remember this feeling. He didn't know if she would reply, but he knew one thing. He still cared. And that meant something. That meant everything. Asterisk violent content. It continues to show the HFY theme of human emotion, longing, and hope. The next morning, Aaron woke up early. The room was quiet. The light from the window was soft. He sat up slowly, feeling unsure. He had sent the message last night, but there was still no reply. His phone was silent. He didn't know if she had seen it. Maybe she had read it and didn't know what to say. Maybe she was busy. Maybe she just didn't care anymore. That thought made his heart feel heavy. He placed the phone on the table and went to wash his face. As the cold water touched his skin, he looked in the mirror. His eyes looked tired, but there was something new in them. A small spark, a quiet kind of strength. He had taken a step that mattered all day. Aaron tried to Stay busy, he cleaned his room. He helped his mother in the kitchen. He took a walk through the market, but his mind was somewhere else. Every few minutes, he checked his phone. Still nothing. He sat under the big tree near his house. It was the tree where he and Lena had once carved their initials. He touched the rough bark and traced the letters with his fingers. They were still there, though a little faded, like the memories, still present, still real, but slowly becoming quiet. Aaron thought about all the times they had spent together. He remembered how she used to say that humans were strong because they cared deeply, even when they were hurt, even when they were alone. She used to believe that love and kindness were not weaknesses, they were power. That's what made humans different. He held on to that thought. Maybe this was what being human meant. Feeling sad, missing someone, still hoping, still trying. In the evening, he sat on the roof. The stars were slowly appearing. He remembered how Lena loved looking at the stars. She used to say they made her feel less alone, like someone out there was watching over her. He smiled softly and whispered, "Are you looking at the same stars tonight, Lena?" Then his phone buzzed. His heart jumped. He grabbed it quickly and looked at the screen. It was a message. From her, she had replied, "Hi, Aaron. I saw your message. I didn't know what to say at first. I miss you too. I think about you every day. I didn't forget. I was just scared." Aaron read it again and again. He couldn't believe it, she remembered. She cared. He felt something warm in his chest. Not just happiness, but relief. Like he had been holding his breath for weeks, and now he could breathe again, he replied. His fingers shaking just a little. "I'm glad you wrote back. I was scared too, but I never stopped thinking about you." They talked for a while. Messages were slow, but every word felt real. They told each other about their days, their small problems, the things they missed. They even laughed a little. It wasn't the same as before, but it was something. It was a beginning. That night, Aaron didn't feel alone. He lay in bed and looked at the message one last time before sleeping. It was just a few lines, but it was filled with meaning, it was filled with hope. He understood now. Being human didn't mean being perfect. It meant feeling everything deeply and still choosing to care, even when it hurts, even when things are hard. Aaron still missed Lena. He still wished she was close, but he knew something had changed. The distance between them was still there, but now there was a bridge, a small one, a message, a memory, a feeling. And maybe that was enough for now. He closed his eyes and smiled. Humans fall, they break, lose, but they never stop hoping, and they never stop reaching for the people they love. Aaron was one of them, and he was proud of that. A week had passed since Aaron and Lena had started talking again. The messages came and went like waves on the shore. Some days they talked more, some days less, but something inside Aaron had changed. He no longer felt like he was shouting into the dark. Now there was a small voice answering back, but even with the messages, Aaron still felt far from her. Words on a screen could only say so much. He wanted to hear her voice. He wanted to sit beside her again, even in silence. He wanted to feel close. But the distance was still there. Lena told him about her new school. She said the people were nice, but everything felt strange. She missed the old streets, the old trees, and the sounds of home. Aaron read her words and could feel the sadness between the lines. He wrote back, "I walk past the old places. They feel quiet without you." She replied, "Sometimes I feel like I left a part of me behind." Aaron stared at that message for a long time. He felt the same way, like something was missing, but he didn't know how to get it back. One afternoon, Aaron sat on his bed with a small box in his hands. Inside were things that reminded him of her. A folded paper with a drawing they made together. A dried flower. From a walk in the hills, a photo of them at the fair, smiling wide. It was all so small, but each piece held a memory. He looked at the photo for a long time. Then he picked up a pencil and began to draw. His hands moved slowly. He wasn't the best artist, but he tried to draw what he felt. A boy and a girl, sitting under a tree with stars above them. The stars were connected with lines, like a map, like they were showing a way home. He took a picture of the drawing and sent it to her a few minutes later. She replied, "This made me cry. Thank you, Aaron. I feel close to you again, even if we are far." His eyes filled with tears, but he smiled. That's what he wanted, that small connection, that tiny feeling that they still belonged in each other's lives. Still, there was something he could not say. A question he wanted to ask but couldn't. Did she still care the same way? He didn't know if he was still important to her. Maybe she had new friends, new dreams. Maybe he was just a memory now, like the photo in his box. That night, he lay, awake for hours. He thought about how humans always look for meaning in small things. A picture, a message, a shared memory. Maybe that was a gift. To find hope in the simple and the quiet. The next morning, he made a plan. He would write her a letter. Not a short message, but a real letter, with paper and ink, something she could hold in her hands. He sat at his desk and began to write. It wrote slowly from the heart. "Dear Lena, I don't know if this letter will say everything I want it to, but I'm trying. I miss you every day. I miss your voice, your laugh, your way of making things feel better, even though we talk sometimes. I still feel far from you, not just in distance, but in time. Like the days are moving fast, and I'm trying to hold on to something that's slipping away. But I still believe in us. I still believe that people who care don't stop caring just because life moves. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe things will change more. Maybe we'll meet again. Or maybe we'll just carry each other in memory. But I want you to know that you still matter to me. Always will. Your friend Aaron." He folded the letter carefully and placed it in an envelope. He didn't know when or how he would send it, but writing it made him feel brave, made him feel human. That was the thing about people. They felt deeply, they remembered. They hoped, even when hope was small. Aaron stood by the window and looked. At the sky, it was cloudy, but he knew the stars were still there behind the clouds. He whispered, "We don't stop caring. We don't stop trying." And maybe that was enough. Asterisk, a few days later, Aaron walked to the small post office in his town. The letter he had written to Lena was in his pocket. He had read it many times. Each word still felt true. His hands were shaking as he stood in line. It was a simple letter, but it carried so much feeling. When it was his turn, he gave the envelope to the man at the counter and wrote down the address. The man took it and said it would reach in a few days. Aaron nodded and walked outside. As he stepped into the street, he felt nervous. What if she didn't like the letter? What if it was too much? What if she didn't reply? He stopped and took a deep breath. He had sent it because he wanted her to know how he felt. That was enough. He couldn't control what she would do. But he could be honest. That was something humans were good at. They tried. Even when they were scared. That night, the sky was filled with clouds. No stars. But Aaron still sat on the roof. He closed his eyes and thought of Lena. He hoped she would smile when she saw the letter. He hoped it would remind her of the days they spent together. Days passed. Then a week. No message came. No reply. Aaron checked his phone again and again. Still nothing. His heart started to feel heavy again. Maybe she didn't want to answer. Maybe she had read it and didn't know what to say. Maybe she had moved on, but deep inside, he didn't want to believe that. He still remembered her words, her laugh, the way she looked at him when she was happy. Those things couldn't just disappear, could they? One evening, Aaron walked to the river. It was the place where they had once sat for hours, just watching the water flow. He sat on the old stone and watched the sun go down. The sound of the river was soft. The wind touched his face gently. He picked up a small rock and threw it into the water. "Do you miss me too?" he whispered. He didn't expect an answer, but something inside him still hoped. That night, Aaron had a dream. He was back in the old park, sitting on the bench. Lena was beside him, just like before. They didn't talk. They just sat, and it felt peaceful. When he woke up, his heart ached. It felt so real. Later that morning, his phone buzzed. He picked it up quickly. It was a message from Lena. "I got your letter, Aaron. I read it again and again. I didn't reply because I didn't know how. It made me cry. It also made me smile. I didn't forget you. I was just afraid that too much had changed. But your letter. It made me feel like we're still close, even if we're far. Aaron felt a rush of warmth in his chest, his eyes filled with tears. She had read it. She felt something too, he replied. Thank you for reading it. I was scared too, but I meant every word. They talked more that day, not just about their feelings, but also about small things. What they ate, what books they were reading, what the sky looked like in their towns. It felt nice. Felt like a beginning again. That evening, Aaron looked at the stars. They were bright and clear. He thought about how humans hold on to small things. A photo, a message, a letter they don't give up easily, even when it hurts. They wait, they hope. They keep their hearts open, and that's what he was doing. He didn't know what would happen next, but he knew this moment mattered. The letter had reached her. His words had touched her. She had reached back. He smiled. Sometimes hope is quiet. It doesn't shout. It doesn't come all at once. But it stays. It grows. It's like a light in the dark. And Aaron was still holding that light. The emotional HFY theme of longing, gentle sadness, and the strength of human connection and hope. Aaron felt different these days. Not completely happy, but not as lost as before. Since Lena replied to his letter, something inside him had changed. He no longer felt like he was shouting into the dark. Now there was a quiet voice that answered back. And even though it was from far away, it brought comfort. They didn't talk every day. Sometimes they didn't message for 2 or 3 days. But when her name appeared on his phone, his heart always felt lighter. She would ask about the little things. What he ate for lunch, if the rain had come to his town. If he still went to the old park, he would tell her everything. Even the small, boring things. Because with her, even simple things felt important. 1. Afternoon, Aaron walked to the tree near his house. The one with their carved initials. He stood there and touched the rough bark. The letters were still there, a little worn by time and weather. But they were real. Like their bond, he took a picture of it and sent it to her. She replied a while later, I remember carving that. I used the wrong side of the knife and took forever. Aaron laughed to himself. Could almost hear her voice. I wanted it. To be perfect, he replied. That's the most human thing ever, she wrote. Trying hard even when we mess up. Her words stayed with him. Trying hard even when things aren't perfect. That was true. That was what he was doing now. Trying to hold on to something that mattered. But there were still days when Aaron felt the distance deeply. Sometimes he would sit in silence, phone in hand, waiting for a reply that didn't come right away. Sometimes he wanted to call her too. Hear her voice, but he didn't know if she would be ready. One night, he sat by the window and watched the sky. The stars were spread across like tiny fires. He remembered how she once said stars were reminders of everything that lasted. He whispered, Can things last, even from far away? There was no answer. But he kept watching the sky, like maybe the stars would tell him something. The next day, something unexpected happened. Lena sent a voice message. It was short, just a few seconds. Hey Aaron, I'm standing under the stars right now. Just wanted to say I miss you. Her voice was soft, a little shaky, but it was real. It was her. Aaron played it again. And again he smiled. He wanted to reply with his own voice, but he felt nervous. What if he said the wrong thing? What if he sounded silly? Then he remembered her words. Trying hard even when we mess up. That's what humans do. He pressed record. Hey Lena, I miss you too. I listened to your voice so many times. I wish you were here. But even from far, I feel like you're close. He sent it before he could overthink it. For the rest of the day, he felt warm inside. Not just because of her message, but because he had spoken to, he had shared a real part of himself. That evening, as he sat with his back against the tree, he thought about how strange and beautiful people are. They feel pain, but still love. They feel lonely, but still reach out. They get scared, but still hope. He looked at the sky again. There was a breeze in the air. He whispered, We don't stop trying. Because that's what made them human. They kept going. They kept loving. They kept hoping. Asterisk, the days moved slowly, like soft waves. Aaron counted each one by the small moments he shared with Lena. A message, a picture, a voice. These little pieces gave color to his world, but sometimes the quiet returned. One evening, Aaron sat in his room, looking out the window. The clouds were thick, and the sky was dark. He had not heard from Lena in 3 days. He tried not to worry, but his heart felt heavy. He looked at his phone again. Still nothing. He remembered how close he had felt when he heard her voice. Now the silence felt loud again. He whispered, "Did I say something wrong?" His thoughts ran in circles. Maybe she was just busy. Maybe she needed space. Maybe this was how people drifted apart. Quietly, without a reason, but deep inside, Euron didn't want to believe that. He opened the small wooden box where he kept things that reminded him of her. The drawing, the photo, the folded paper flower she once made. He held the flower gently. It was old now, the edges dry, but it still kept its shape. As he looked at it, he remembered something Lena had said long ago, that humans were good at holding on. Even when things broke, they found ways to keep the memory alive. He closed his eyes and said to himself, "This is not the end. Not yet." That night, Aaron wrote in his notebook. He didn't know if he would send it, but he needed to write. "Sometimes I don't know what we are now, friends. Memories, a quiet hope. I don't want to lose this. I don't want to lose you. Even if we talk less, I still carry you with me, in my thoughts, in my heart." He closed the notebook and kept it under his pillow. It made him feel a little better. The next morning, he tried to keep busy. He helped his mother with breakfast. He cleaned the porch, went to the library, and sat by the window. Hours passed. Still no message. Then, just before sunset, his phone buzzed, his heart jumped. It was from Lena. "I'm sorry for not writing. I wasn't feeling well. I've been thinking a lot. I didn't know what to say. But I missed you," Aaron let out a long breath. He didn't know he had been holding it. He replied right away, "I understand. I was worried, but I'm just glad to hear from you." They talked for a while after that. Slowly, carefully, like stepping on soft ground. But with each message, it felt like the distance grew smaller. Lena shared more. "I feel tired sometimes. I miss the old days. I try to make new friends, but no one really knows me like you do." Aaron felt his heart ache. He wanted to reach out and take her hand, but all he could do was send words. "You don't have to be alone," he wrote. "Even if we're far, I'm still here." There was a long pause. Then she sent a photo. It was of the night sky from her town, full moon above quiet rooftops. "I took this for you," she wrote. "You always said the moon looked like a coin in the sky." Aaron smiled. He stepped outside and took his own photo of the moon. "It's the same moon here too," he replied. 2 towns, 2 skies, 1 moon. One memory shared. That was the magic of being human. To feel far and close at the same time. To send a photo, a message, a feeling, and make someone's heart feel warm. Aaron sat down under the stars and closed his eyes. He knew there would be more quiet days, more silence, more waiting. But he also knew that this bond was real. They didn't need to talk all the time. What they had was not made of time. It was made of care, of truth, memories that stayed. And as long as they both held on, even gently, they were never truly apart, because humans don't forget easily. They remember, they hold on, and they always hope. The days started to grow warmer. Flowers began to bloom again in the garden outside Aaron's house. The trees were full of green leaves, and the sky often stayed blue for hours. But even as spring came, a quiet cold stayed in Aaron's heart. He still talked to Lena, but the messages were fewer now, sometimes just 1 or 2 words. Sometimes just a picture or a small emoji. She said she was tired a lot. School was hard. Her new life was full of change. Aaron tried not to ask too many questions. He didn't want to make her feel more pressure. But deep inside, he missed the way they used to talk. He missed the long messages, the late-night laughs, the little details they used to share. One evening, Aaron sat under the tree where their initials were carved. He looked up at the branches and thought about the time they sat here and made promises to always stay close. It felt so long ago now. He took out his notebook again. This time he didn't write a letter, just wrote down how he felt. Maybe this is what growing up feels like holding something tight while it slowly slips away. I don't want to lose her, but I don't know how to hold on. He closed the notebook and sat quietly, listening to the wind. He remembered something his grandfather once told him, that humans are like rivers. They bend, they flow, they meet new places. But the source, the beginning, always stays. Maybe that was true for people too. Maybe the start of something never really goes away. That night, Aaron didn't write to Lena. He didn't ask questions or send photos. He just waited. He knew now that love and friendship were not always loud. Sometimes they were quiet. They were patient. They gave space when needed. They stayed, even in silence. 2 days later, he got a message. "Hey Aaron, I miss you. I've just been feeling lost. I didn't know how to say it. Everything is different here. I feel like I'm forgetting who I am." Aaron's heart sank as he read it. But at the same time, he felt thankful. She had shared her truth. She had trusted him. He replied, "You don't have to be okay all the time. I'm still here, even when you feel lost." There was a pause, then she wrote back, "Thank you. That means more than you know." The next day, Aaron woke up early. He had an idea. He took out his old camera and walked through the town. He clicked pictures of the places they used to go. The bakery, the library, the river path, the park bench. He even took a photo of the small hill where they once watched. The sun set. He printed the photos and made a small book. On the cover, he wrote, "Home still remembers you." Then, page by page, he added short notes. "This is still your favorite sweet roll. This tree still bends the same way in the wind.
Oh.
This bench is still waiting for us." The photo book in a simple box and added one more note. "You're not forgotten. Not by this town. Not by me." He mailed it the next morning. After that, he waited. He didn't message her about it. He wanted it to be a quiet surprise. 5 days later, she sent a voice note. Her voice was full of emotion. "I cried when I saw the book. It felt like I had gone back home for a little while. Thank you, Aaron. I didn't know how much I needed that. I think I stopped looking at the good things. You helped me remember." Aaron listened to the message again and again. He smiled, even. As tears filled his eyes, he whispered to himself, "This is why we don't give up. Because humans don't stop caring when things get hard. They find new ways to love. They remind others they are not alone, and they always carry hope. Even when it feels small." Aaron didn't know what the future would bring, but he knew he would. Keep showing up. In letters, in photos, in memories. That was his way of saying, "I'm still here." And sometimes, that's all someone needs to hear. Asterisk the emotional journey of distance, sadness, and human hope, HFY. This part brings peace, connection, and quiet strength. 1 month had passed since Aaron had sent the photo book. Longer now. The sun stayed in the sky until late evening. Flowers had grown tall along the streets, and the river moved gently through the town. Aaron walked through the old paths again. The town hadn't changed much, but something in him had. He still missed Lena. He still thought about her every day. But the sadness was softer now, like a quiet song in the background. Not gone, but easier to carry. They still talked, though not every day. Some days were quiet, and some were full of words. Aaron had learned to understand the silence, yet learned that caring for someone didn't always mean talking all the time. Sometimes it meant just being there when they needed you. One afternoon, Lena sent him a message. "I'm coming back to town for 1 day next week. My family needs to visit for something. I don't know how much time I'll have, but I was wondering if you'd like to meet." Aaron froze as he read it. His heart beat fast. He read the message again and again. He replied, "Yes, Of course, I'd love to see you." The days that followed felt both fast and slow. He cleaned his room, sat under the tree more often, visited the bakery, and even bought her favorite sweet roll, just in case. On the morning she was supposed to come, Aaron woke up early. He wore the shirt she once said made him look nice. He walked to the park and sat on the bench where it all began. He waited. The breeze moved. The leaves. The sky was soft and blue. And then he saw her. Lena walked toward him slowly, almost shyly. Her hair was tied back. She wore a simple dress. She looked just the same, and yet different. Older, quieter, stronger. They stood there for a moment, looking at each other. Then they smiled. Without a word, they sat down side by side. For a while, they just listened to the birds, the sounds of the trees, the quiet peace of being near again. Lena spoke first. "I didn't know if meeting again would feel strange. But it doesn't. It feels like I never left." Aaron looked at her and nodded. "I thought I had lost you." Learning to find each other in a new way, she turned to him. "I think I needed to get lost a little, to understand what really matters." They talked, not just about the past, but also about now, about small things, about how they had changed, about what they had kept the same. Lena held the photo book in her hands. "I brought this with me," she said. "It reminded me of who I was, of who we were, of what we still are." Aaron looked down at the book, then at her. "You'll leave again," he said quietly, "but I won't stop caring." She smiled. "And I won't stop remembering." Hey. Sat together until the sun began to set. Then it was time to say goodbye. But this time, the goodbye didn't hurt the same way. This time, it was full of quiet strength. Lena stood up and hugged him. "Thank you for not giving up," she whispered. "Thank you for coming back," he whispered back. She walked away, turning once to wave. Aaron sat down, again on the bench. The place felt full of something now, not sadness, not emptiness. Hope, because humans, no matter the distance, always find a way to reach each other. They send letters, they wait through silence, they hold on with memory, and when the time is right, they return. Aaron looked up at the sky. One star had already appeared. He whispered, "We never stopped being close. We just had to learn a new way to stay connected." The wind moved gently through the trees, and he knew deep in his heart that love was not always loud. Sometimes it was quiet, but always it was strong, and always it stayed.